Hello and welcome everyone. This is Professor Siddharth Surana. I hope you guys are doing good. मैं तो हमेशा मस्त ही रहता हूँ. Welcome to the RTP lecture for CA Final May 25 attempt. So ICAI has released the RTP. It is available on BOS Knowledge Portal, and we are here to discuss this RTP with our students. Of course, like every RTP, there are going to be three parts of our discussion. Part number one is what ICAI is not kept as a part of the RTP but separately uploaded something called judicial update. Judicial updates basically mean the latest case law. So there are some case laws which are after every chapter in the ICAI study material, and then there are some case laws which are latest, so they are uploaded by way of judicial updates. So we are conducting a separate lecture on judicial updates in the last week of March, and all the students who had enrolled for our regular batches of offline, online, any crash course or full course, recorded class, whatever you had taken, we are soon going to conduct this lecture last week of March. And of course, once the lecture is conducted, it will be uploaded on the drive for the recorded class students also. So case laws are not going to be a part of this particular video that we are doing today. Second, circulars. Circulars are the latest notification circulars released by government, which ICAI has incorporated. If your attempt is made, then circulars up to 31st October are relevant for your attempt. As you are aware that for May 25, we have to study the budget of Finance Act of 2024. And Finance Act 2024, basically the budget which was announced in the Parliament on the 23rd of July. And you are very well aware, oh boy, massive amendments have taken place. If we talk about a chapter like capital gains, it has undergone a complete change. If we talk about the concept of buyback tax, it has been altogether removed, and accordingly that profit, how it will be taxable for shareholder, what is this new dimmed dividend 222F, what about the cost of acquisition of the shareholder, a complete change has taken place. A change has taken place in the new tax rates, new regime tax rates. There is a change, complete change in search assessment cases. It has undergone complete change. The limits for remuneration of partners and interest of partners under section 40B, those limits have also undergone change. So all in all, there have been massive amendments in this budget of 2024, which will be applicable for May 25 as well as November 25. We are also parallelly doing our revision cum amendment lecture. The first revision cum amendment lecture is already uploaded on YouTube. So if you go through the lecture, you'll come to know how you can access the other lectures as well. So after 23rd July, between 31st October, hardly any circulars were there. I think only a couple of circulars. So they are covered in the statutory updates within the RTP itself. If you check the PDF of the RTP, you'll find the circulars, and then immediately after the circulars, you'll find the questions. So yes, only small two circulars. Quickly, I will tell you what you have to read, what you don't have to read. So yes, this part is going to be covered in this lecture. And if we talk about the question answer part, of course, the RTP has got first about 13 MCQs. So there are two case scenarios, full-fledged questions, full story is given, then there are 6 questions on that. Then second story is given, there are 6 questions on the second story, and there is one single MCQ. So totally we have 13 MCQs where ICAI has given the question and printed the answer, but you as a student may not be able to get how that answer is come. So I am going to explain. The major part of this video is going to be explanation of the solutions of the MCQs, and in the subjective questions there may be some discussion about something new, something different, which question you should focus, which question you can skip. I will only discuss. Subjective part is comparatively easy while doing the recording, mainly because the solutions are already printed. The full-fledged solution is printed, but in the MCQ only answers are there. So I will explain the solution of all the MCQ. So major part is going to be consumed in that discussion only. However, before we start the MCQ discussion, let us first of all quickly have a discussion on our circular. So case laws will not be covered, that will be covered with only our paid lecture students, and we are going to cover circulars and questions in this RTP. This is where your RTP starts. The first is statutory update, a notification which was announced. Of late, a lot of tax benefits are available to IFSC. You focus on this IFSC circular also because the first case scenario that they have asked, 6 questions majorly on IFSC. Now, when we do our full course lectures, IFSC does come in our discussion in maybe a chapter like special rates of tax, where normally dividend income is taxable at a higher rate for non-resident. But for IFSC, we have prescribed a concessional rate. So wherever there is some tax rate applicable on IFSC units, we discuss it. But other than that, major things in IFSC are exempt only. So anybody who is operating in IFSC, a lot of exemptions are given. Most incomes are exempt only. You know the question, the first case scenario is what will be this person's tax liability or that person's tax liability. Most of them fall in IFSC and therefore the tax is zero, and therefore the answer in all the cases, out of six questions in the case scenario, the answer to 3 is nil, nil, nil. Tax will be nil because IFSC. It is like that. And in class, we have also discussed that units operating in IFSC are eligible for deduction under section 80 LA. 10 years का deduction मिलता है. 10 years तक, 10 consecutive years out of first 15 years, you are eligible to take deduction under section 80 LA. Now, with respect to this, we have our first notification that if you are taking deduction under 80 LA as IFSC, so do you realize the income that you will earn will be included in income but subtracted? Include and deduct, include, deduct. 100% of profits will be deducted. That means whatever income this unit in IFSC is receiving, yes, it will record it in the income, include it in gross total income, but take deduction and remove it. And therefore, it is, becoming an unnecessary exercise where the payer is making payment to you. Payer is deducting TDS. You are showing that income but taking deduction. So ultimately in NTTI there is no income, there is no tax, and thus the TDS deducted is an unnecessary refund that we have to wait for. Accordingly, the first circular says that there is going to be no TDS. No TDS will be applicable with respect to the following businesses that operate in IFSC. So this is the payee. This is the payee. The business in IFSC is receiving money and they are taking benefit of 80 LA. Dekho. One more thing I want to clarify, that 80 LA ka deduction is 10 years out of first 15 years. So you can start from your first year 1 to 10, or you can take the last 6 to 15 also. So supposingly you are not taking 80 LA deduction, you may want to start your 80 LA deduction in your 4th year or the 5th year. Then the income that you are receiving will be taxable. Then TDS will also be applicable. This immunity from TDS is only and only if you are availing the 80 LA deduction. So those who are in banking business for the following activities, so no TDS under 195, 194J, for commission 194H. Those who are in insurance business, no TDS under 194D. Those who are in finance business, no TDS under 195, 194A is your interest, 194A is your interest. This is your dividend. This is again your commission. If you are in finance business, then again interest, dividend, commission. If you are in fund management business, then professional fees. If you are a broker or a dealer, then again dividend. If you are doing investment advisory, then your professional fees. If you are getting as a registered distributor some commission, then again on that commission. Again for custodian, commission and professional fees. Again professional fees. Basically these payments are going to be further payments, professional fees, commission, professional fees, commission. If summarize करता हूँ, if IFSC का deduction you are taking 80 LA, तो tax नहीं भरना है, तो the payer will not deduct your TDS in the following cases, the cases which are given. You can read through them. What is important to note is, if I don't avail IFSC deduction, then TDS will be applicable, is what you have to understand, is the first thing that you have to note here. And one more thing is with respect to IFSC banking unit. So if there is any interest that a non-resident is getting in IFSC banking unit, then that interest is going to be exempt, is the second circular that they have introduced here. Tax is not required to be deducted on interest paid by IFSC banking units on deposit made on or after 1/4/2005 by a non-resident or a not ordinarily resident on borrowings made on or after 1st April 2005. After 1st April 2005, non-resident and not ordinarily resident will not be paying any tax. Therefore, there will be no TDS. You can read through the circular. Second circular, even if you don't read this second notification, it is absolutely okay. Your focus should be on solving of questions. I always give one advice to students who are solving case scenario based questions, because case scenario based questions are going to be always difficult for you. Difficult in the sense that they are going to give you a long story. So people who have seen my case scenario explanation in the past for any RTP are aware of what I am trying to say. But if you all are watching my RTP lecture for the first time in your life, all the first time students, then there is a trick which I always share with students, that case scenario का question ना बहुत बड़ा हो. You see the story going on and on and on. Para 1, para 2, para 3, para 4, and then they say from the given information choose the most appropriate answer. अब होगा क्या? When you are reading this question, at that time in the story you don't know what question they are asking. You know, it is quite likely that this paragraph is given, but on this there is no question only. So a good way of solving case scenarios is, and a lot of teachers recommend this, my other respected professional colleagues, they also do recommend this, that do one thing, ek kaam karo, first come and read this one, the 6 questions. You somewhere at the side of your brain are aware ke question kya hai, and thus while reading the story I will keep that part in mind. For example, the first question is, what is tax liability on dividend income of Mr. Devansh? So there will be some guy called Devansh, he must have earned dividend, we have to find out tax liability. Char option there, we have to choose. Tax liability on interest income of Devansh. So Devansh has earned dividend income and interest income from loan that it has given, he has given to a company called Gamma Limited. What is the tax liability on interest income on Devansh on deposit with an IFSC banking unit for in SEZ for AY 25-26 ले. अभी तो मैंने आपको क्या बोला, that notification which came, it is tested on that. The question is testing you on that. That notification is getting tested. I just told you that. And in fact, I told you one more thing. देखो, when it comes to IFSC, most things are exempt. Whatever is not exempt, we have studied, like special rates of tax, we have studied that normal non-resident का dividend का tax rate is 20%, but IFSC के अंदर it is going to be 10%. So whatever is taxable we have studied, but anything that we have not studied is going to be exempt only. For example, this is going to be exempt. Exempt होता है tax liability अपने आप zero. What is tax liability on dividend income of Gamma Limited from Free Limited during 24-25, assuming that both companies are primarily engaged in the business of leasing aircraft and have opted for 115 BAA. Okay, so I must tell you that last year there was an amendment in income tax law. A new section was introduced, section 1034B. I am discussing this amendment with you so that you can understand what is happening. Once again, it is IFSC. So IFSC है ना, तो everything goes in section 10, 10, 10, 10, exempt income, exempt income, exempt income. The amendment said that दो कंपनी है, एक कंपनी है, कंपनी B, both are in IFSC, both are in IFSC. IFSC को ही सब टैक्स exemption देना, and both are in the business of leasing of aircraft. What is their business? एक कंपनी ने दूसरे कंपनी को एयरक्राफ्ट लीज पे दिया, लीजिंग ऑफ एयरक्राफ्ट. Both are in the business. It can be internally or it can be to outsiders. If between them there is any dividend, it is possible that A is shareholder of B or B is shareholder of A, then that dividend is going to be exempt under section 1034. Statement सुनिए. When one IFSC business वाला company gives a dividend to another IFSC business wala company, where both of them have business of leasing of aircraft, then dividend paid by one company to other is going to be fully exempt. That was section 1034B. And again, exempt हुआ, इसका भी आंसर zero. I told you, IFSC का question आता है ना, it looks like a complicated question when you start reading, sir, I don't know this, I don't know that. IFSC के case में, I have taught you wherever any tax rate is applicable in our regular lectures. If there is something which you are not aware of, ऐसा लगता है कि sir I have not studied, it is because it is exempt, you don't have to study. It is exempt. ये सब केस में, ये question number 3 का भी आंसर नहीं ले, question number 4 का भी आंसर नहीं ले, it is all need. You know, without even reading the question in detail, without even knowing the story, without knowing anything, I can tell you now only it is going to be exempt. It is as good as that. IFSC के अंदर please be safe. जो आपको कराया है special rates में, that you have to study. Other than that, if you get anything, you are eligible for tax benefit. ऐसा. Then assume for the purpose of this MCQ alpha and beta. अच्छा, मतलब Devansh is there, then Gamma Limited is there, then Phi Limited is there, then in the story there will be Alpha Limited and Beta Limited. Are banking units located in IFSC and both are receiving professional fee of 2 lakh. Then what is the TDS? Now professional fees अगर कोई पे करता है तो 194J में TDS आता है. Correct or no? But then here they are testing you on the first circular that we studied. पहला वाला circular क्या था? That if you are taking 80 LA deduction, if you are taking 80 LA deduction, तो TDS applicable नहीं. So now we have to see alpha में and beta में, if both of them are taking 80 LA deduction, तो फिर answer nil होगा. One of them is taking 80 LA deduction, तो दैट पर्सन का टीडीएस विल बी निल, बट अदर का इट विल बी 10% ऑन 20 लाख. ऑप्शन में 2 लाख ही दिया है, एंड प्रोफेशनल फीस का 10% यू आर अवेयर ऑफ ऑल्सो. सो वी विल हैव टू सी 80 LA का डिडक्शन कौन ले रहा है, एंड विच ऑल्सो मीन्स दैट दे आर टेस्टिंग यू ऑन द सर्क्यूलर. दे गिव द सर्क्यूलर एंड ऑन दैट ओनली दे आर टेस्टिंग you. And last, assuming for the purpose of this MCQ, Alpha is a qualifying company engaged in the business of shipping. So Alpha is doing shipping business. Then when can it opt for tonnage tax scheme if the date of its incorporation is 1st April 2022? Date of incorporation is 1st April 2022. Now then, tonnage tax scheme as a chapter is totally irrelevant as far as your examination is concerned. But again, last year a small amendment has taken place in tonnage tax scheme, that by which date you can opt for tonnage tax scheme. Uska ek amendment tha. So when I will come to this question, at that time I will discuss with you that amendment. Accordingly, we will come to know in these 4 dates by which date you can opt for. So these are the 6 questions that they have given us under the case scenario number 1. Once we know these questions, we have an objective mindset while reading the story. So Devansh ka tax liability we have to find out. Then Devansh ka tax liability from interest income, first dividend income, then interest income. Then Devansh ka tax liability on IFSC. Now IFSC I have told you, without reading only we know it is exempt. Likewise, लीसिंग ऑफ एयरक्राफ्ट का बिजनेस है एंड कंपनी इज गिविंग डिविडेंड टू अनदर कंपनी, दैट इज आल्सो एग्जाम्पल. सो 3 का आंसर इज 0, 4 का आंसर इज 0, 5 का आंसर डिपेंड करेगा वेदर यू आर टेकिंग 80 LA और नो, एंड 6 का आई विल टेल यू दैट लास्ट ईयर वाला अमेंडमेंट, दैट इज ओके. सो लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, नाउ लेट अस सी व्हाट वुड बी. Devansh is an Indian citizen and a person of Indian origin who is living in the UK for the last 15 years. देखो, Devansh resident है या non resident है will be decided with this data. And with that you will be able to come to know कि देवांश को जो डिविडेंड मिल रहा है, we have to tax it at normal rates as per resident or tax it as per non-resident. All that we will come to know here. He comes to India every year for 1 month to visit his parents and for the rest of year he stays in UK. तो एक चीज तो मेरे को इधर क्लियर, citizen of India or person of Indian origin coming for a visit, तो 63-65 तो एप्लीकेबल है नहीं, एंड ये आता है इंडिया में 1 महीने के लिए, विच सिंपली मीन्स क्या ब्रो, दैट 182 इज नॉट फुलफिलिंग, 63-65 इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल. ही कैन मे बी डीम्ड रेसिडेंट, बट गोइंग बाय द फेस ऑफ द क्वेश्चन एज ऑफ नाउ देवांश इज क्लियरली अ नॉन रेसिडेंट. और एक बात बता देता हूँ, इफ दे आर आस्किंग यू क्वेश्चन ऑन डिविडेंड इनकम एंड कैलकुलेशन टैक्स ऑन ओनली डिविडेंड इनकम, रेसिडेंट को जिसको स्लैब के ऊपर टैक्स भरना है एट सीए फाइनल, दे कांट बी आस्किंग यू टू कैलकुलेट टैक्स एज पर स्लैब्स ऑन डिविडेंड इनकम ऑफ रेसिडेंट. आई फॉर एग्जांपल रेसिडेंट गेटिंग डिविडेंड फ्रॉम सो मेनी कंपनीज, मेरा टैक्स क्या सीए फाइनल के बच्चे को नहीं पूछेगा करने के. ऑब्वियसली इफ दे आर आस्किंग यू टैक्स, दे हैव टू मेक हिम अ नॉन रेसिडेंट. तो वैसे भी 182, 63, 65 तो आउट ऑफ क्वेश्चन नाउ. नाउ डीम्ड रेसिडेंट के लिए विल हैव अ लुक एट हिज इनकम्स, व्हिच आई डाउट ओनली बिकॉज़ मोस्टली ही हैज टू बी अ नॉन रेसिडेंट. He has invested in shares of Alpha Limited, Beta Limited and Delta. अच्छा, questions में Delta तो किधर था भी नहीं. But there are 3 companies out there. In the questions we saw Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Phi Limited. Delta नहीं था, Delta भी आ गया. In convertible foreign exchange, Alpha Limited and Beta Limited are companies incorporated in GIFT IFSC. मतलब Alpha और Beta से जो dividend मिलेगा, वो concessional rate 10% पे जाएगा, because he is non-resident. GIFT IFSC Gujarat carrying on business for which it has been approved for setting up in such a center, special economic zone. Delta is a company incorporated in New Delhi. मतलब Delta IFSC में नहीं है. Simply put, Alpha का dividend और Beta का dividend का tax liability is one of the questions, no? Alpha का dividend and Beta का limited will be taxable at a special rate of 10% क्योंकि IFSC है, and Delta will be taxable at 20%. Non-resident 115A, most important section of special rates of tax, उसके अंदर ही we had studied डिविडेंड इनकम ऑफ नॉन रेसिडेंट 20% यहाँ पे, लेकिन आईएफएससी एंड बिजनेस ट्रस्ट भी होता है, बट हियर देयर इज नो बिजनेस ट्रस्ट, आईएफएससी हुआ तो 10%. द डिविडेंड इनकम ऑफ मिस्टर देवांश फ्रॉम अल्फा लिमिटेड, बीटा लिमिटेड एंड डेल्टा लिमिटेड ड्यूरिंग द प्रीवियस ईयर 62,500. मतलब ये सब इनकम का अमाउंट देखो, ये सबको देख के लगता तो नहीं है कि 12 लाख रुपया 15 लाख रुपया क्रॉस करेगा. एंड इफ इट डज नॉट क्रॉस 15 लाख रुपीज, तो डीम्ड रेसिडेंट इज आल्सो नॉट इनटू कंसीडरेशन. लेट अस टेक इट फॉर ग्रांटेड कि अनलेस एंड अंटिल कोई बहुत बड़ा डेटा अब आए स्टोरी में, देवांश इज अ नॉन रेसिडेंट, अकॉर्डिंगली वी विल अप्लाई 115A. एंड नाउ लिसन, आगे क्या बोलता है. द इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंडिचर इनकर्ड बाय हिम ड्यूरिंग द प्रीवियस ईयर ऑन मनी बोरोड फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट इज दिस. यहां पे आप बहुत भारी मिस्टेक करो. because against dividend income IFOS के चैप्टर में you have been taught that you are allowed interest expense up to 20%. तो आप क्या करोगे, 60 to 500 का 20% पे रेस्ट्रिक्ट करोगे, 87 300 का you'll check 20, मर जाएगा bro. If he is non-resident and all this is coming under 115A, no bro, special rate, no deduction of expense, मतलब the gross income will be taxable. अल्फा और बीटा का जो डिविडेंड है उस पर 10% लगेगा एंड डेल्टा का जो डिविडेंड है उस पर 20% लगेगा. यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू गेट डिडक्शन ऑफ योर एक्सपेंसेस. समझा? नेक्स्ट, मिस्टर देवांश हैज आल्सो लेंट फॉरेन करेंसी इक्विवेलेंट टू 50 lakhs टू गामा लिमिटेड. गामा लिमिटेड का जो इंटरेस्ट है उसका टैक्स आल्सो दे आर आस्किंग. सो गामा लिमिटेड अगेन अ कंपनी लोकेटेड इन गिफ्ट IFSC on 1st April 21 and the rate of interest is 10% per annum. तो सुन, ये 50 लाख उसका इनकम नहीं है, नहीं तो 50 लाख को देख के you will think that sir deemed resident. नहीं सर, 50 lakh is the loan given. The interest that he is earning is 50 lakh into 10%. That means interest is only 5 lakh. That means if you add up all the dividend that he is earning here, the interest of 5 lakh that he is earning, till now he is not crossing the income of 15 lakh. Till now there is no question of applying deemed residence as yet. And now then, is he getting interest from IFSC? Ladies and gentlemen, go check the special rates of tax. बहुत डिटेल में चेकिंग किया है. Go check the chapter that we have studied. IFSC में 1st September 19 के बाद, this is 21, so on or after 1st September 19, if you are getting interest from IFSC, the interest is exempt. खाली रूपी डिनोमिनेटेड बॉन्ड्स अगर इशू हुआ है ना, बॉन्ड्स, तो देन वी हैव दोज रेट्स 4%, 9% एंड ऑल. लेकिन फॉरेन करेंसी लोन के ऊपर एग्जेम्प्ट. नाउ दिस इज अ लोन, दिस इज अ लोन एंड लोन का इंटरेस्ट फॉर नॉन रेसिडेंट इज एग्जेम्प्ट. रूपी डिनोमिनेटेड बॉन्ड्स के ऊपर दे हैव गिवन 4%, 9% का रेट ऑफ टैक्स. लोन का इंटरेस्ट इज गोइंग टू बी एग्जेम्प्ट. मतलब क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 का आंसर एग्जेम्प्ट. देखो, वॉट एवर इज एप्लीकेबल टैक्स रेट वी हैव स्टडीड, बट IFSC में मोस्ट थिंग्स आर एग्जेम्प्ट. दिस इज एग्जेम्प्ट. इसका आंसर नहीं लेना. सो क्वेश्चन 1 का आंसर तो विल गेट बाय अप्लाइंग द स्पेशल रेट 115A ऑन द डिविडेंड. बट क्वेश्चन 2 का आंसर इज व्हाट? एग्जेम्प्ट ओनली. देन he also made deposit of foreign currency equivalent to 30 lakh in IFSC banking unit of SEZ on 1st April 22. Here he is getting interest of about 8%. So वो about कुछ 2,40,000 के आसपास, 2,40,000 के आसपास होगा. Dividend income of 541,200 is due to be received in January 25 by Gamma Limited from Fee Limited. मतलब ये देवांश का इनकम नहीं है. देवांश का इनकम्स आर ओवर. देवांश का इनकम्स आर ओवर. Now dividend is received by Gamma from Fee Limited, which is also a company located in Gift IFSC, and the same was received on 20th January. तो अब वो जो एयरक्राफ्ट लीजिंग वाला बिजनेस का क्वेश्चन है वो क्लियर हो. ओके, गामा लिमिटेड इज एन IFSC, Fee Limited is also in IFSC. Are both IFSC companies? Both are in business of leasing of aircraft. और इनके बीच में अगर कुछ भी डिविडेंड होता है IFSC में, वो भी एग्जेम्प्ट है. मतलब गामा लिमिटेड का दिस इनकम इज एग्जेम्प्ट. मतलब वो वाले क्वेश्चन का आंसर भी IFSC में सब कुछ एग्जेम्प्ट चलता है. नेक्स्ट, अल्फा लिमिटेड हैज स्टार्टेड अवेलिंग बेनिफिट ऑफ डिडक्शन अंडर 80LA फ्रॉम AY 23-24. अल्फा लिमिटेड, अल्फा बीटा डेल्टा, ये सब ऊपर वाली पैराग्राफ की कंपनीज थी. इन द सेकंड पैराग्राफ वी हैव गामा एंड फी लिमिटेड, बट दिस क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट अल्फा. अल्फा इज इन IFSC एंड बिकॉज इट इज इन IFSC इट इज टेकिंग डिडक्शन अंडर 80LA. अब सुनिए, if it is taking deduction under 80LA, तो अल्फा का प्रोफेशनल फीस is immune from TDS, the first circular that we studied. While beta is also in IFSC, has not yet started availing the benefit, even though it has commenced operations on 1st April 21. मतलब अल्फा is taking 80LA, beta is not taking. वो आपको पता है ना कि it is not necessary to take in the first 10 years. You can take any 10 consecutive years in the first 15 years. तो maybe beta will start in the 5th, 6th year. अभी तो बीटा नहीं ले रहा है. मतलब अल्फा इज टेकिंग 80LA, बीटा इज नॉट टेकिंग 80LA. मतलब अल्फा को जो पे इनकम आएगा प्रोफेशनल फीस, उस पे TDS नहीं डिडक्ट करना है, बट बीटा का TDS आएगा बिकॉज बीटा इज नॉट टेकिंग 80LA. यू आर गेटिंग इम्यूनिटी ओनली इफ यू आर टेकिंग दैट डिडक्शन. तो वी हैव द आंसर टू दैट TDS वाला क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो. एंड ऑफ कोर्स अल्फा इज टेकिंग डिडक्शन, वो पेयर्स को नहीं पता चलेगा. सो अल्फा हैज फर्निश्ड द declaration to the payers. From the information given above, choose the most appropriate answer. Question number 1. What is tax liability on dividend income of Mr. Devansh during previous year 24-25? I will be showing you the solutions of these answers that I have already solved. So if I open that solution part, so I have to of course take my RTP on the side, or I'll see if both of them can be opened together. तो क्या होगा कि you have the textbook and the notepad both together. So you will be more comfortable in understanding how we have solved the question. लेकिन इतने स्पेस में ये होगा नहीं, so unfortunately आप एक काम करो, you keep the RTP open with you so that you have the question open in front of you so that I can explain to you the answer here. One thing is clear that Devansh, पहला question क्या है? What? Let's come to the first question. Devansh is a non-resident. Devansh is earning dividend income from alpha, beta and delta. So Devansh is a non-resident. Dividend is earned from alpha, beta and delta. ये अमाउंट्स आप चेक कर लो, 62, 500, 87, 300, 21, 800. Expense का deduction will not be given because special rate of tax. Now then, alpha is IFSC, so 10% special rate. Beta is IFSC, so 10%. But delta is not IFSC, so 20% accordingly. 62, 500 का 6250. Here we get 8730, but here 20% 4360. The total will come to 19,340, and accordingly 19,340 is going to be your answer for the first MCQ. Next, tax liability on interest income of Devansh from Gamma. Now that's foreign currency loan after 2019, and that is exempt. Only rupee denominated bonds taxable. So on or after 1st September 19, if a non-resident is giving forex loan to unit in IFSC and receiving interest, it is going to be exempt, and thus it will be exempt. Exempt का option, zero tax का option is given in A. IFSC में ज्यादातर चीजें exempt ही होती है, whether you check it or you don't. And I have again clarified कि rupee denominated bonds पे वो rate लगेगा. Next question is, देखो, if we read the question then we read the story, then most of the questions are solved so fast. Okay. Question number 3. Tax liability on interest income on deposit made with IFSC banking unit. So this is that second circular that IFSC banking unit पे non-resident को अगर interest मिल रहा है तो that is going to be exempt, and because it is exempt, again same as question 2, the tax liability is going to be nil. So here we have nil in the fourth option. You understand this? This so we have already discussed. Gamma Limited and Fee Limited are both of them IFSC companies, and both of them are in the business of leasing of aircraft. When one IFSC aircraft leasing company gives a dividend to another IFSC aircraft leasing company, then 1034 we will get triggered, and this dividend is also going to be exempt. This dividend is also going to be exempt. I have explained that here also exempt, and therefore here also the tax will be nil. मतलब देख रहे हो अब 6 में से 3 का आंसर तो nil है, and that is what IFSC is all about. Next, assuming that alpha and beta are units in IFSC and both companies are receiving professional fees, tax deductible. अब याद आ रहा है alpha is taking 80LA but beta is not taking 80LA. So alpha का TDS नहीं आएगा but beta का 10% professional fees will come. So alpha में 0 and beta में the TDS is going to be 2 lakh rupees. Alpha 80LA, beta no 80LA. So no TDS here but yes TDS here, and therefore 0 and 2 lakh, which of course is given to us in option B. And then this last thing. Now this is for alpha. Alpha is availing the benefit of 80LA from this date. If you observe the question also, they have said alpha is taking 80LA deduction from the assessment year 23-24, which is nothing but the PY 22-23, 1st April 22, which also they have given you as the date of incorporation. So from 1st April 22, alpha is taking 80LA benefit. Now in tonnage tax scheme, which is a totally irrelevant chapter, you can ignore it altogether, but last year an amendment had taken place under which from this date if you are taking your 80LA deduction, from this date if you are taking your 80LA deduction, तो 10 years तक तो आपका 80LA चलेगा. मतलब if you understand from here, if you go up to 10 years, तो till 31st March 32 तो आपका 80LA ही चल रहा है. And the amendment basically was that after exhausting your 10 years, you have to apply for tonnage tax scheme within a period of 3 months. 3 months के अंदर अंदर आपको tonnage tax scheme लेना पड़ेगा. So basically, the day you start taking 80LA deduction, from that date you have to add 10 years and 3 months. So this is the 22. This is not applicable. This is directly 10 years. Here you can't apply. You have to apply after this date up to 3 months. So this also can't be the answer, which accordingly means this only has to be the answer because this is the exact date, 10 years and 3 months, and this is also beyond the time limit, and which I have explained. IFSC company should first exhaust 10-year 80LA 10 year, 80 LA. And then after 10 years, when you reach 1st April 32, yeah, 31st March 32, one and the same, you add 3 months over there, and 30th June 32 is going to be your answer. This was an amendment last year. Tennis tax scheme honestly is not important, but they have kept it in the MCQ. I have discussed it with you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was your first case scenario. It appeared complicated, but do you observe IFSC? Everything is exempt, exempt, exempt. First was dividend, which we have discussed properly in class, and one of them, couple of them were on the circulars recently issued. So end of the day, no matter how complicated it looks, but if your concepts are clear, it will be very, very easy. Now then, the next question is on some of the amendments. The removal of buyback tax. So if you don't know the amendments, you are going to find things a little difficult here. The removal of buyback tax is getting tested here. The change in capital gain tax rates, that also applicable from 23rd July onwards. All those things are going to be tested in this second case scenario, but we are going to follow our strategy which makes things easy for us. So once again, there is paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4 is only one line, STT has been paid, and then they say answer question 7 to 12. So again we have 6 questions on this. Question number 1, is XYZ Private Limited required to pay additional income tax on buyback of shares? So there is a private company which has bought back its share. Will there be buyback tax? Now last year students are aware that sir, buyback tax 20% plus 12% plus 4%. Twist a story. From 1st October 2024, buyback tax is abolished. So company does not have to pay buyback tax. Of course, now May 25, November 25 will be difficult because buyback tax is abolished from 1st October. So if the buyback has taken place in this period, company will pay buyback tax. For shareholder, it will be exempt capital gain. But if the buyback has taken place in this period, then company will not pay buyback tax. For shareholder, the money that you receive, number of shares into buyback price, number of shares into buyback price is the money received, that is deemed dividend, IFOS. Sir, but what about my cost? That cost of acquisition we will consider as capital loss, that you can take adjustment against other capital gains. So once first that you receive, the amount received, the gross received will fully be added in your IFOS, and the cost will be taken as capital loss separately. Of course, in amendment cum revision lectures, we will discuss it. On this issue, I have also uploaded a reel on Instagram. Under 1 minute, I have explained this concept, so you will understand with that also. Basically, the answer to this question will depend on date of buyback. If date of buyback is up to 30th September, we will say yes buyback tax, and after 1st October, from 1st October, we will say no buyback tax. Compute the amount of capital gain arising in the hands of Mr. Sahil. So in the story, there may be someone called Mr. Sahil, and we have to calculate capital gain. We'll check that. Compute tax liability in the hands of Mr. Sahil for AY 25-26. Compute tax liability for Mr. Sahil for AY 25-26, assuming he is in the new regime. Now see, Sahil has capital gains. So first of all, your capital gain ka amendment will be tested. Now obviously, if they ask you tax, the tax will be on total income. Capital gain we will get from this question. Other income we will see if there is any. They have tested on the deemed dividend part also. If there is any dividend, that will give us total income of Sahil. On that we will apply the rates. Now for capital gain, we will again check the date of capital gain to decide old capital gain rate or new capital gain rate. Further, for the other income, we have to calculate tax as per new regime because he has taken new regime. In that also there is amendment. So buyback tax amendment, capital gain amendment, new regime amendment, everything is tested. If you don't know the amendment, things will be difficult. I suggest that you go through the amendment revision lectures first, which will be uploaded one by one in due course. I am over occupied, but I will try to do it as soon as possible. So we will see what is the tax payable. Compute the tax liability of Mr. J. Assume he has salary income of 4,25,000. So in the story, other than Sahil, there may be someone called J also. We'll have to calculate salary they have given. Maybe there is some other income in the story. We'll have to wait and watch. Whether income arising on buyback of shares is taxable in the hands of Mr. Rahul? Yes. If yes, what amount would be taxable? That will depend. If the buyback took place till 30th September, company pays buyback tax, then it will be exempt. And by the way, it is Rahul. So Sahil, Jay, Rahul, they are different people. So first we will see if buyback tax is paid, then it will be exempt. If buyback tax is not paid, then it is going to be taxable. And then how much will be taxable? The gross receipt becomes IFOS and the cost of acquisition of shares becomes capital loss. That we will see. I will explain that. Compute the total income and tax payable by Mr. Rahul. Acha, if it is this Rahul, oh yeah, it is this same Rahul for whom you have calculated income on buyback. Total income and tax payable by Mr. Rahul. And notice bro, notice. For Mr. Sahil, they are asking you tax liability. Check कर रहे हो? For Mr. J, they are asking you tax liability. But for Mr. Rahul, नाम तो सुना ही होगा, they are asking you the tax payable. And I have discussed it with my full course students. Only my full course students will understand now what I am trying to say. I have clearly said only that for May 25, November 25, crash course also is a very dangerous thing. If you are relying on only amendment and revision lecture, things are going to be difficult. मैं पहले ही बता रहा हूँ. You please give direct tax more time than other subject. This time it is required. That only my full course students will understand that when you compute your tax liability, then you subtract your prepaid taxes like advance tax, TDS, TCS and all those things. Then what you get is your payable. So here they are not asking liability. Here they are asking payable. This is what you have to do. Of course, 13th is a separate question. 7 to 12 are related to the story. So now that we know, we have to first find out about buyback tax. Then we have to find out capital gain and tax of Sahil. Then we have to find out tax of Jay. And we have to find out tax of Rahul. Income of Rahul and tax of Rahul. Chalo, let us see story kya hai. One by one, para by para. On 1st May 24, ABC Limited, a listed company, offers right share in the ratio of 1:10. 1:10 is basically 1 for 10 held. So if I have 10 shares, I can buy. Right share hai, rights. Kharidna padega. You have to pay. It's not bonus. 1 share I will get against that share at 50. Means existing shareholder will pay 50 rupees. And will get 10% of their existing holding. 1/10. One of the shareholder, Mr. Sahil, had 50,000 shares. How many shares? 50,000. Therefore, Sahil is eligible for 5,000 in the rights issue, but he has to pay free management rights issue. He retains 30%. 30% means 1,500. Sahil will go and buy because he has retained, and he has renounced the balance. Balance is 70%. Matlab 3,500 he has sold to Mr. J at 15 per share. 3,500 shares ka he has done what? Renounce in favor. So basically this is sale of right. We have studied this concept in capital gain chapter. Sale of right. This is what I am going to take from my friend J. 3,500. 70% I have renounced in my friend's favor. So for that 3,500, you understood how 3,500? 50 I am holding. 1:10 ka issue hai. So 5,000 I am eligible. From 5,000 I am keeping 30%. That is 1,500 for myself. That means the remaining 70%, 3,500 I am selling at 15 rupees. Of course, what will my friend Jay do? He will pay me this 15 rupees for the right. Then he will go and pay 50 rupees and get these 3,500 shares. So for Jay, the cost of these 3,500 shares will be 65 rupees. If I would have purchased, I would have got it for 50. Then Sahil transferred 10,000 out of his original shares. So his original shares were 50 plus now he has 1,500 more. But he has transferred 10,000 of his original shares on 15th July before amendment. Before amendment. So we will apply the last year's capital gain rule at 65. So of course his sale consideration will be 10,000 into 65. He had acquired these 10,000 shares at a cost of 2,38,000 on 21st June 21. 21st June 21 means clearly it is long-term capital gain. It's a listed company. Of course 12 months and listed shares, no, before or after amendment 12 months only is applicable. So long-term capital gain, correct or no? This will get covered under 112A because somewhere we already read STT has been paid. STT has been paid means 112A will be applicable. 112A also has an amendment. One, the rate of tax has become from 10 to 12.5% from the 23rd of July, but the annual limit of 1 lakh. So first 1 lakh 0, balance 10. That limit has changed from 1 lakh to 1,25,000 from the first day itself. That is from AY 25-26. All amendments of capital gain are from 23rd July, but that one amendment is not from 23rd July. That is from 1st April. So from the total capital gain, Sahil will not pay tax on 1,25,000. That is also an amendment. And the balance will go in 10% because this capital gain has taken place. This capital gain took place. This capital gain has taken place before amendment. So his capital gain that we do here, 65 into 10,000 minus 2,38,000 is the gain. On this 125 there will be no tax because 125 is applicable for the full year as per amendment. And the balance we will apply 10 because it is 15th July. If it was after amendment, then on the balance we would have applied 12.5%. Further, Mr. J transferred shares acquired from Sahil at 80 rupees per share on 26 February. So J has transferred after the amendment has taken place. In any case, for J it is short-term capital gain. So J paid 15 to Sahil, then 50 to the company. So J ka cost of acquisition is 65, and that 65 ka share he has sold at 80 rupees. And how many shares? 3,500. So 80 minus 65, 15 into 3,500 is the capital gain of J, and it is short-term capital gain because he got the shares on in May and he sold in the same financial year. Because this is after amendment, in 111A also there is change in rate. 111A after 23rd July is no longer 15%, that has become 20%. Too many changes in capital gain. Please go for the full course. Even now you have time, I am telling you. Please, it is my humble request that please give direct tax more time than other subjects. Otherwise, things will be very, very difficult for you. You have to be very careful. This was before amendment, so we will apply 10%. But 1,25,000 is applicable from the first day itself. That 1 lakh ka limit has become 1,25,000 for 112A. And this is 111A. And 111A will change from 23rd July. It has become 20%. So 80 minus 65 into 3,500, 20%. Because Sahil ka, Jay ka, all of them ka tax they are asking. Then XYZ Private Limited bought back 80,000 shares on 14th December. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic. 14th December is also Sir's anniversary. Sir got married one day before his birthday. 14th December 2024. Matlab after 1st October. And I have answered the first question here itself. There will be no buyback tax. Buyback tax was applicable only till 30th of September. One thing is clear, XYZ Limited does not have to pay buyback tax. Does not have to pay. Now, shareholder ka tax treatment kya hoga? Shareholder will receive money, that is IFS. Receive. Number of shares into buyback price is IFS. The gross amount. Sir, but I have some cost also. No, see, I purchase the share and then there is buyback money. So, buyback ka full money is going under IFS. So, what about my cost? That cost will be considered as capital loss. You can adjust against another capital gain. Okay. So, company had issued the shares at 20 during 12-13. Such bought back includes 6250 of Mr. Sahil. Acha, matlab Sahil is having capital gain over here for sale of right. Sahil is having capital gain over here for sale of shares, and Sahil has IFOS over here. Sir, how IFOS? 6250 shares are being bought back, which Sahil had acquired on this date at 36.8, but company is now giving him 160. So 6250 into 160 is deemed dividend 222. F. And this cost for Mr. Sahil, 6250 into 36.8 is the cost, and 6250 into 160 is the selling price. 6250 into 160, the buyback price is deemed dividend IFOS, and this 6250 into 36.8 will be considered as capital loss. Okay. And also 250 shares of Rahul, which was inherited from his father. Rahul's father acquired these shares on 24th May 2020 at 10 per share. So that is cost to the previous owner. So if you see, Rahul ka cost to the previous owner is 10, but again buyback price is 160. So Rahul ka deemed dividend will be 250 into 160. That is deemed dividend for Rahul. And 250 into 10 is capital loss of Rahul. So in the new concept of buyback, money received into number of shares is IFOS, and number of shares into cost price is capital loss. So that we have to do for both Sahil as well as Rahul. Sahil has 6250 shares, Rahul has 250 shares. Buyback price is same for both, but cost price of course were different for both of them. For Rahul, though, it is cost of previous owner. And apart from this transaction, Rahul also has income under salary of 1242, which is computed salary. So Rahul has got IFOS. Rahul will have capital loss also because 250 into 10, and Rahul has salary also, on which no tax has been withheld by the employer. No TDS. Now listen, Rahul ka jo deemed dividend hai na, uspe TDS will come, because it is covered under 194. 194 covers all dividend. All dividend will include the latest dividend also. But on salary, there is no TDS. Effectively, what we will do, Rahul ka last question was tax payable. So take his salary, take his other income, calculate total tax. That is liability, and subtract the TDS on dividend, because on salary, boss has not deducted any TDS. And assume that Sahil does not have any other income. STT has been paid. Therefore, we know that in cases of short term, we have to apply 111A, long term 112A. Now, 111A till 22 July, 15%, from 23 July, 20%. 112A till 22 July 10%, from 23 July 12.5%, but after 1,25,000 it was 1 lakh, no, now it is 125, and that amendment is not from 23rd July, that amendment is from the first day itself. Correct है? चलिए देखते हैं क्या है. First question, is XYZ Limited required to pay additional income tax on buyback? Oh bro, without checking anything, buyback has taken place on or after 1st October, buyback has taken place on or after 1st October, no buyback tax on the company, therefore the answer is going to be C, as we have already marked. देखो तो कोई क्वेश्चन ना बहुत इजी भी होता है, when they have to ask a big question they have to make it in short like this. Compute the amount of capital gain arising in the hand of Sahil during 24-25. Sahil का 3 transaction है, sale of right to Jay, then sale of his 10,000 shares, and then he has got that buyback ka money. So over there also there will be some capital gain or loss. No, buyback mein money received goes in IFOF. So the cost of shares will become his capital loss. We will have to take that set off. Let us see how we will present the answer. Keep the RTP open. Sale of right. देखो 50,000 shares I am holding. 1/10 का issue है, so 5,000 shares I get. I have renounced only 70%. 30% I have retained. No? So sale of right 3,500 shares at 15 rupees. Rights का हमेशा short term capital gain because there are only 2 months. Then on 15th July, before amendment, he has sold 10,000 shares. Sale consideration is 65 rupees given to us and cost is directly computed. So 2,38,000, long term capital gain of 4,12,000. But then don't forget the IFOS transaction. On buyback, whatever money he has received, 6,250 into 160 will be IFOS. But the cost that he had paid, that is 6,250 into 36.8, that will be considered as a long term capital loss. Accordingly, we will be adjusting this capital loss against this capital gain. And finally, short term capital gain as it is will remain 52,500. Long term capital gain will be 4,12,000 minus 238, 1,82,000. And those who don't know this part, know this amendment wala part, they have given 4,12,000 also an option. So short term to you will be still getting right, assuming that you know sale of right. But long term you will certainly make a mistake. Certainly make a mistake. And I hope you understand. In sale of right, there is no cost of acquisition. Cost is 0 because whatever you charge your friend, that is only your capital gain. Haan, to ladies and gentlemen, 4,12,000 is given in the option, but our answer is going to be option A because we are also going to take set off. So long term capital gain 1,82,000, short term capital gain 52,500. Compute tax liability of now Sahil. Now then Sahil ka capital gain to हमने कर लिया, बस we just have to take his IFOS to see what is his tax liability. Long term capital gain we already saw in the previous question. देखो one question helps you in the other question. Short term capital gain 52,500 भी हो गया. Deemed dividend is going to be how much? Deemed dividend. This is the amendment. Whatever you receive 6,250 पे you have received 160 rupees. No, देखो cost जो आपका था ना, that तो we are already considering as capital loss. So here the gross receipt will be considered as your deemed dividend, making this as your total income. But of course, long term capital gain will go in special rate. See, this is not stock market. Huh? Short term was sale of right, so this will go in normal rate of tax. But long term capital gain will, of course, as you are aware, will go under 112A, and these two will go in normal rates of tax. Yes or no? So, ladies and gentlemen, on that 1,82,000, even though the capital gain has taken place before 23rd July, but 112A ka this amendment, that annual 1 lakh ka limit has become 125. I say it one more time, that is from 1st April. So all other capital gain amendments are from 23rd July, but this amendment is from 1st of April. So 1,82,000 minus 125 into 10%. 10% only, no, before amendment. After amendment, we would have applied 12.5. 5,700. Because why we are applying 10%? Because transaction is before 23rd July. But still this will be 120. And the balance. So now again, new regime ka slabs. Again they are amended. So first 3 lakh 0, 3 lakh to 7 lakh, 4 lakh ka 5%, 7 lakh to 10 lakh, 3 lakh ka 10%, and 10 lakh to 10, 52,500. So that is 52,500 ka 15% will give you the other tax. This plus this will give you basic tax. You add 4% cess, you will get your total tax liability 66,118. Of course, tax will be rounded off to the nearest multiple of 10, giving you 66,120 as your tax liability. Next question, tax liability of Mr. J. Now, first of all, what are the income J has earned? Salary they have given to you in the question itself. They are saying assume that he has got salary and he has opted out of the default tax regime. Means here we have to calculate as per old rates because he has opted out of the default tax regime. We will be calculating as per old rates. So we have salary of 425 and we have capital gain. Jay has sold his shares. Jay का selling price given to you in the question is 80 rupees. Question है आपके सामने open. Jay का selling price given to you in the question is 80 rupees. But what was his cost? He paid 15 to Sahil and 50 to the company. His cost price was 65. So 80 minus 65 into 3,500. 52,500 is his short-term capital gain. This, ladies and gentlemen, is 111A, and this is after amendment. After amendment, 111A has gone in 20%. So this 52,500 will go to 20%, 10,500, and the remaining 425 you have to apply old regime ka slabs. Old regime ka slabs 4,25,000 पे you apply slabs. So 175 का 5% करोगे 8750 मिल जाएगा. This is your basic tax. Now resident individual income up to 5 lakh. Resident individual income up to 5 lakh will be eligible for rebate of actual tax or 12,500, whichever is lower. When I started my May 2025 batch, somewhere in the month of October, November 25, and I taught this concept that rebate is not going to be allowed. Rebate is not going to be allowed against tax of 112A only. This is 111A ka tax. This is 111A ka tax. I said rebate will not be allowed against 112A ka tax. So some students who had done too much of practical work in office had this fight, had this issue that sir, office mein, when we were filing returns, the ITR utility was changed and they were not allowing rebate against 111A also. Let me be clear, the law is very, very clear. No rebate against 112A, 112A, 112. Achha, by the way, 2025 ka budget, which is not applicable for you people. 2025 budget is applicable in May 26 exam. In that, they have now clarified any income at special rate, no rebate. But that will now apply from next year onwards. Those who are giving exam in May 25, November 25, May 25, November 25, only 112A tax is ineligible. They changed the ITR utility, which was unfair. Controversy took place and High Court has announced, Bombay High Court has announced in the favor of taxpayers. Short term 111A ke samne rebate allowed hai, only long term not allowed. Next year onwards, nothing will be eligible because now they have changed the law. But in your exam, May 25, November 25, ladies and gentlemen, rebate will be allowed against 111A. What they did in the ITR utility is not in our control. I can tell you the law. I can't change the form. I can't change the utility. My job is to tell you the law, and the law is very clear. And institute ka answer is matching with that. You take rebate, you get your tax after rebate, you add your cess, and ladies and gentlemen, yes, this 7020 is going to be your answer. Yes, this 7020 will be your answer. Next, whether income arising on buyback of shares is taxable for Rahul, and how it will be taxable. Now, buyback ka little idea you already have, so you know buyback tax to nahi hai. Deemed dividend will be his total receipt. Whatever he has total received. What has he received totally? 250 shares into 160. That total amount of 40,000 will be considered as IFOS, and the cost of acquisition of his 250 shares. 250 shares. Cost of acquisition of his 250 shares will be considered as capital loss. So, deemed dividend 40,000 and capital loss of 2,500. 11 ka answer will be B. And final question is asking, and by the way, ये वो डीम डिविडेंड है जिसके ऊपर TDS is going to be applicable. So in the next question they are asking you his tax payable. Liability you calculate on his income. Liability you calculate on his income. But you do give the credit of that 4,000 TDS that was applicable on this 40,000 so that you are able to answer the question. They are asking you not the liability. They are asking you the tax payable. They are asking you the tax payable. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, last question of this case study. Compute his total income and tax payable. They have in the main question only given his computed salary to you at 12,42,000. That's his salary income. And it is computed, so you don't have to give any standard deduction. And they are asking you to calculate tax as per 115 BAC, which means new regime. So, salary is 12,42,000. IFOS, deemed dividend is 40. And mind you, I hope you understand, this capital loss will not be adjusted because long-term capital loss only against long-term gains. In any case, capital losses cannot be adjusted against any other head of income. So his income will be 12,82,000. We are not going to be subtracting 2,500 here. And now if we calculate tax as per new regime. So again, new regime ka amended rates. First 3 lakh 0, then 3 lakh to 7 lakh, 5% on 4 lakh. Till 10 lakh we have 10%. 10 to 12 we have 15%, and after that we have 20%. 12 to 15 we have 20, after 15 we have 30%. So this is going to give you your basic tax. We add cess and we will get our tax liability, and then there is TDS on dividend. Because deemed dividend is new, section 194 will now include that dividend also, so there will be 4,000 TDS, and finally the tax payable will be 96,256. Please make sure what they have done is they have given 1282 and 100,256 also in the option. They have given this amount in the option, and it is quite likely, first of all, most people will not get correct answer till here also, but if you get the correct answer till here also, you still end up choosing the wrong option. The reason is they are not asking you tax liability, they are asking you tax payable, and accordingly you will have to choose your option A, 12,82 and tax payable 96,260. Do you observe what they have done here? They have given you the correct income and they have given you the tax liability, but this is not what they are asking. This is not what they are asking. They are asking you payable. They are playing these dirty games. They are not checking whether you know the law. They are checking whether you have read the question properly. High level of alertness is going to be required, ladies and gentlemen, in your exam. Be very careful on this. Okay. And the last question is a standalone question. It is basically on that poem. So all those who have my additional question bank, that poem ka circular is covered in a couple of questions. That whenever there is a foreign company, Indian company is always resident, but foreign company will be resident if its major decisions are taken in India. So that poem ka circular will help you. Here they have mentioned that the key management decisions are conducted in India, and therefore although this company is a foreign company, in Indian income tax law we are going to be considering it as a resident. It is a foreign company, but we will consider it as a resident. Foreign company, but we will consider it as a resident, deemed to be resident. Okay. And now an Indian company is giving them fees for technical services. Please understand, if this company was a non-resident, then FTS would have been covered under section 115A. But is this company a resident? Then 115A will not apply. Normal rate of tax of foreign company, that is 35%, is going to be applied. देखो, company resident है, but है तो foreign company, no? And here one more amendment is being tested. Ladies and gentlemen, there is one more amendment. Foreign companies का income tax rate is not 40% from AY 25-26. Foreign companies का income tax rate is hereby reduced to 35%. Foreign company का tax rate is reduced to 35%. So it is foreign company. Resident deem हो गया, but rate of tax is going to be 35%. Why 115A will not apply? Because it has become resident and 115A is applicable for non-resident. So 35% is going to be the tax rate applicable on FTS. Determine the residential status and whether tax is required to be deducted. If yes, at what rate? First of all, residential status mein our answer is going to be resident. Ye clear. Second, for even, dekho, even if it has become resident, company does not have operations here. So when we are remitting the money, we can't be simply deducting 10% under 194J just because it is resident. Because ultimately, the tax liability of the company will be calculated at 35%. So if we deduct 10%, if it is Indian company, we will deduct as per 194J. But if it is foreign company, non-resident or foreign company, we are going to be covering them over there, and thus we will be deducting TDS under section 195. We will be deducting TDS under section 195. Company will be declared as a resident, therefore we are not applying 115A. However, we are going to be deducting TDS at 35%, which will be applicable tax rate of foreign company. So ladies and gentlemen, foreign company and poem is in India, therefore it will be resident. 115A will not be applicable because it is declared as resident. However, foreign company ka normal tax rate, which is an amendment, it was 40 till last year, but now it has become 35%. While the company is resident, but it is still a foreign company, so we have to deduct full tax. We will have to deduct TDS at 35 plus surcharge and cess. In the question they have said ignore surcharge and cess, so we are not taking it. If there was surcharge cess, we would have taken, and accordingly we will have to say resident, but TDS will be deducted at 35% under section 195. With this we get done with the MCQs of the RTP. Tea break was important. Cheers. We now go ahead and we enter the subjective part discussion of the RTP. So As far as the subjective part is concerned, things are going to be easy and smooth for you, primarily because the solutions are already printed. Whatever small big part I have to tell you, I'll quickly take you through them. The next question, question number 14, is PGBP. And well, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll go through the question, you'll realize that that big PGBP question that we have done in class BM Private Limited karke company ka we had done a question. There were credits. So these are other heads of income which you have to subtract. Some of them you have to put in the other hands. Rent from vacant land you have to put in IFOS, but from a property you have to put in house property, interest on income tax refund, IFOS. This part will go in capital gain, this will go in IFOS. Then depreciation as per PNL add back, donation to Swachh Bharat Kosh add in PGBP but less in chapter 6 से. All these things, your day-to-day payment to transporters, so 40A3, bonus to employees 43B, you have to apply. Income tax including interest has to be disallowed. Contribution to university, you first add and then less, but provided the company is in old regime. If the company is in new regime, so the deduction is not going to be allowed. All these things. Then EPBX, printer and scanner, this specific adjustment I have taught you in class. So this is a very basic PGBP question. If you solve that question which I have taught you, then things are going to be very easy, very easy for you. Next question is on a partnership form. So that was PGBP. This is partnership form. Vatsal, Vihan, Vayu. They are three partners. So they are giving you profit or loss, and certain transactions are given. For example, depreciation is given, working partner salary first we disallow, then later we give 40B deduction. Interest is given, donation to political party is given, where cash will be disallowed but 70,000 by check fund transfer will be allowed. Monthly rent paid to Vatsal for use of his premises 36,000 per month, occupied from 1st of October. So that means only 6 months, and market is 15. So we have paid more than market price. So we will disallow 21,000. No tax was deducted. That's fine, because TDS is applicable only when the annual rent crosses 2,40,000. So again, these are basic PGBP adjustment. Firm has incurred 5 lakh by way of expenditure toward cost of gold coin awarded to customers on the first day of inauguration. Cost of each coin was less than 10,000. See, if the payment in cash exceeds 10,000 per person per day, then it is disallowed. Otherwise, it is a marketing cost, it will be allowed. Depreciation is given to you. Trademark cover adjustment, you are required to compute total income. That way it appears like, sir, how can they ask two PGBP questions, one firm and one company? See, company ka PGBP question is like your normal PGBP question. The essence of this is that there will be remuneration and interest ka deduction, and under remuneration there has been amendment. Now it is not first 3 lakh 90%, it is going to be first 6 lakh ka 90%. First 6 lakh ka 90% or 3 lakh, whichever is higher, and balance ka it will be 60%. So there is some amendment in the remuneration calculation, and accordingly they have kept a question on that partnership wala part. Next is the question on charitable trust. XYZ trust derives income from property held under trust 500 lakh, out of which it is giving 200 lakh to another trust. Normally trust is allowed to give donation to other trust. How much will be considered as application of income? See, when we give donation to other trust, we will consider only 85%. With a direction that it will not form a part of corpus, then 85% of this, so 170 aayega. And with a direction that it will form a part of corpus, if you give donation to other trust as corpus, then you won't get any deduction. So case 1 ka answer 170, case 2 ka answer 0. What will be your change in answer if the amount is paid out of accumulation? You can't give donation to other trust out of accumulation. If you give out of accumulation, first of all, you won't get any deduction, plus there will be flat 30% tax 115 BBI, because it is violation of your accumulation. So these are going to be the consequences on the trust. Examine condition in which ABC Educational Trust that is not satisfying amount received with a specific direction, same 115 BBI will be applicable. If you misutilize, you have to keep your money invested in the modes given under 11 subsection 5. Any misutilization will result in 30% flat tax rate 115 BBI. Next question is on transfer of virtual digital assets. So there is this guy who has purchased 1 Bitcoin but later sold half Bitcoin. So obviously selling price is 28 lakh and cost price will be half of 30 lakh. It's a loss. But virtual digital asset ka tax treatment, quickly I will remind you. Capital gain flat 30%. Only cost of acquisition will be allowed as a deduction. If we have incurred any other expenses like bank expenses or transfer expenses, etc., no deduction. Selling price minus cost price. If profit, then flat 30%. If loss, then that loss will lapse. So he has sold Bitcoin for 28 lakh where cost was 30 lakh. Sir, how 30? This is 1 Bitcoin, but he has sold only half Bitcoin. So that 2 lakh ka loss will lapse. No transfer expense ka deduction also will be given. Other than that, he has received NFT as gift from his friend. When he got the gift, his FMV was 5 lakh. So listen, virtual digital asset received as gift will be taxable under IFRS. So this 5 lakh is taxable as IFRS. And then when he is selling this, at that time, this 5 lakh will be taken as his cost of acquisition, because you have already paid tax. Any asset received as taxable gift, the fair market value will become cost of acquisition. So this is that combo of capital gain and other sources. He also has some other income. So accordingly, what are we going to do? On one sale of Bitcoin, there is loss. That loss will lapse. No set off, no carry forward. On second sale of NFT, there is some gain. But how are you going to calculate that gain? Actual selling price and cost price will be the fair market value, because that fair market value I have already included in IFRS. He has other income. Compute the tax payable. Liability nahi. So normal income ka tax rate will be as per normal slabs. Bitcoin profit ya NFT profit, virtual digital asset ka profit ka tax rate will be 30%. Accordingly, we will calculate your total income. And then on the two sale transactions that you have done, this NFT that you sold for 650 and this Bitcoin that you sold for 28 lakh, there is going to be TDS on sale of virtual digital asset 11%. So adjust that TDS and you'll get your payable amount. Adjust your TDS. Adjust your TDS and you will get your payable amount. That's what they are testing you in this particular question. Next is basically a non-resident has become partner in a partnership firm. See, even if the partner is non-resident, you will pay remuneration and interest. Whatever deduction firm has taken, that much is going to be taxable for the partner. Now, for the partner, you will have to deduct TDS as per 195, because the partner is a non-resident partner. Resident partners, till now there is no TDS, but from next year that section is getting activated, 194T. Non-resident partner, 195 TDS will be applicable, but share of profit is exempt, so there is not going to be any TDS. So very basic question this is. Next is on curbing of cash transactions. So Mr. Bhuvan is buying raw material in cash from someone called Mr. Srinivas, and he pays 3,20,000 in cash. So can I say for Bhuvan, it is going to be disallowed because cash payment more than 10,000? And for Mr. Srinivas, the receiver, it is going to be penalty, because whenever you accept cash of 2 lakh or above, you are going to be liable for penalty of 100%. So Bhuvan will also have disallowance and Srinivas will also have penalty. As against this, they are giving you an idea. Let's do one thing. We split. Now listen, we are not splitting one transaction. It is different raw materials. 180 and 140. Two cash payments. 3,20,000 ko we are splitting into 180, 140. 40A3 for the payer will still be applicable, because 40A3 is to giving us limit only of 10,000. 10,000 ka limit you have violated. Matlab payer ka, Bhuvan ka expense will still be disallowed. But receiver, listen. Has the receiver received 2 lakh from the same person on the same day? No. Is this the same transaction? No, different raw material. See, one bill if I split, we will add that. But these are different raw materials, different dates, different day purchases. 269 ST ka jo penalty 100%, you can escape that by splitting your raw material bills. The payer will still have disallowance of expense. The receiver will be able to save his penalty if you split it into two transactions. Next is that way a question on unilateral relief. Every RTP they ask a question on unilateral relief. So this is a senior citizen who is married and settled in Calcutta, Hindustani classical singer and composer who performs concerts. Performs concerts in India also, performs concerts outside India also. So she has income in India, 10 lakh. In country M, she must have earned country M dollars, CMD, 12,245. And country M में October के महीने में they had deducted her tax. मतलब on 12,245 she has paid tax of 2,500 in country M. And then country N maybe she is earning 10,000 rupees, and there she has got that royalty of 10,000 by 10% TDS on 25th of March. She has been, you have been given Indian income of 4 lakh from bank FD. Now she is senior citizen, so she will be eligible for 80 TTB. And 25,000 is from saving account. So that's her IFOS. ये जो performance वाला income है, that is PGBP. Then IFOS is given. Medical insurance premium of 27,000 for herself and 30 for her husband. But of course, total will be 50,000. Why 50? Senior citizen है ना? Correct है? Husband, resident 64 years. She has deposited 115 PPF. So that is going to be your ATC ka deduction. And 3 lakh का 5 ईयर फिक्स डिपॉजिट. देखो 5 ईयर फिक्स डिपॉजिट इफ यू टेक इन द नेम ऑफ योर सन यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल इन एनी केस. आपका 80C तो पूरा यूटिलाइज हो गया. सो 80C 150, 80D 50,000, 80TT भी 50,000. इतने तो इसके डिडक्शन भी है. देयर इज वन मेन थिंग दैट आई वांट यू ऑल टू अंडरस्टैंड हियर. देखो एज फार एज अदर डेटा इज कंसर्न, तो अभी इंडिया डज नॉट हैव अग्रीमेंट विद कंट्री एम. तो कंट्री एम का रिलीफ हाउ वी विल गिव? एवरेज रेट ऑफ टैक्स इन इंडिया या rate of tax in country and whichever is lower, doubly tax income included in NTTI and into lower of the two rate. But there is a treaty between India and country N जिसका data is given that royalty and FTS may be taxable in the state in the other state. मतलब royalty या fees for technical services which this lady Sudha Sharma is getting arising in a contracting state which is arising in country N may be taxed in the other state. Means can India take tax? Yes, India will take tax. India will take tax. Has that country also taken tax from you? On 10,000 rupees ka income, they have taken 10% tax from you. Have they taken? Yes. But India will also take tax. But that will result in double tax. So in this paragraph, they have given that we will give you, in this paragraph they have given, we will give you the relief as per the tax credit method. The amount of tax paid under country N and in accordance to the provisions of this agreement, whether directly or by deduction by a resident of India in respect of income from other sources within country N, which has been subjected to tax both in India and country N, shall be allowed as credit against the Indian tax payable. मतलब country N में तुमने क्या tax भरा है? 10%. That tax you are allowed to adjust against Indian tax liability. Tax credit method. मतलब listen, we will calculate total income in India including everything. We will calculate total tax including everything. फिर country M का जो tax है that we will adjust by way of unilateral relief and country N का जो है that we will adjust by way of tax credit method. So basically unilateral relief with tax credit method merged into one question. Compute the total income and tax liability taking into account foreign tax credit if she has opted out of course opted out of default tax. अभी इतना सारा deduction 80C, 80D, 80TTB everything is given, तो had to opt out of the default tax regime, मतलब had to go in the old regime. That is okay. So ये तो basically आप solve कर लोगे. You have to include all the incomes. The main thing that I have to teach you here is the foreign income given to you here is in foreign currency. So if you understand, country M ka income is given as 12,245 country M dollars and country N ka income is given to you in $10,000. Now you will have to apply conversion rate. Most questions institute does not test you on that conversion rate part, but in this question they have. This is a different explanation and everyone has to pay attention to this. That for PGBP and house property, if you have earned in foreign currency, PGBP house property if you have earned in foreign currency, you have to convert at which rate? Convert at year end wala rate. See what they have done. They have given you both countries ka conversion rates on different dates, but you are going to convert at these rates because this is PGBP. Is this PGBP? Is she doing performances? Is this PGBP? Yes. Just one more piece of information. If you want to know for salary and if you want to know for the foreign tax that you have paid, because have you paid tax? Yes. In country M, you have paid 2,500 CMD and country N, you have paid 10%. 10% is nothing but 1,000, no, because your income is 10,000. This has to be last date of the previous month. For example, I am earning salary in foreign currency, say dirham, Dubai se. So my April ka dirham ka salary, how to convert in rupees? 31st March, last date of previous month. My May ka salary will be converted at the rate of dirham on 30th April. Likewise, salary ke liye. So I have told you PGBP house property. This is given in income tax rules, not in income tax act. Listen to this explanation. When I earn foreign currency income to include in Indian entity, I have to convert it into foreign rate. I have to convert it from foreign rate into Indian rupees. For PGBP and house property, we have to apply rate of last date of the year. That means this will be converted at the rate of 31st March. 31st March का country M का rate is 80 rupees. So I will convert this into 80 rupees. This income will be converted at the rate of 31st March. Country N का rate was 79. So I will convert at 79. House property भी होता तो last date of the year. लेकिन सैलरी होता, सपोजिंगली आई हैड अर्न फॉरेन सैलरी, तो सैलरी आई विल अर्न ऑन अ मंथ ऑन मंथ बेसिस, अप्रैल मई जून जुलाई, अप्रैल का सैलरी, मई का सैलरी, जून का सैलरी, जुलाई का सैलरी, द कन्वर्जन रेट विल बी लास्ट डेट ऑफ द प्रीवियस मंथ. अप्रैल सैलरी 31st मार्च, मई सैलरी 30th अप्रैल. दैट इज हाउ कन्वर्जन टेक्स प्लेस. एंड सेम गोज विद द टैक्स कैलकुलेशन. नाउ प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, कंट्री एम में टैक्स वाज पेड इन अक्टूबर, तो दिस 2500 will be converted at the September वाला rate. What is September वाला rate? This rate. So country M का tax that I have paid will be converted at 80 rupees. And in country N I have paid in March. So here we will apply February का rate. And this conversion will happen on the rate of February. The tax that I have paid here will be converted on the rate of 28th of February. So this is where the explanation lies. PGBP house property will be converted at the rate as per year end, and salary and tax will be converted at the rate. Salary is not there in this question. House property is also not there, but I am explaining everything. Salary and tax liability will be converted as per the rate of the last date of the previous month. With this, you will get your foreign tax credit and you will be able to solve this question. Clear hai? Next is a person who has come back to India permanently. When you come back permanently, then 6365 is going to be applicable. Some land ka transaction you have done. Remember, if it is after the 23rd of July, then we will have to apply new capital gain ka provisions. And last is a simple question on transfer pricing. You have done some transactions, so you have to find out whether the transaction is at arm's length price. If not, you have to adjust the difference. Certain testing of that interest disallowed part 94B is also going to be done in this question. So that, yes, ladies and gentlemen, was your RTP with the little bit extra discussion that I had to do on a few issues. That's your RTP. See a final RTP lecture for May 25 attempt. The case law lecture will be conducted in the last week of March for all the paid student. Any student who wants to join that lecture, only for one lecture, wants to pay and join, can kindly contact our admin team on the number that you can just WhatsApp. We will conduct that case law lecture for our paid student, but if you want to join that lecture by paying a fee so that you get all the clarity about case laws also, you may kindly contact our admin team by WhatsApp on this number. Thank you so much for watching this RTP lecture. Have a nice day. All the best. Bye bye. Take care.